Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Hotspur House. I'm once again Tobey from _Spurs Center, and today I am joined by Bodhi from hotspur.industry and Charlie from N17 Nation _. So Charlie, what do you think of the game against Chelsea on Tuesday?
Pretty poor. It was a really good performance from our B team, and really didn't expect it. We were the definite underdogs, and just the dire man of the match thing tops it off, or tops it off. So yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, a lot of people were really pessimistic going into it with the lineup, and I thought it was actually a pretty strong lineup considering it was a cup game, which are usually field weaker teams, and Chelsea put out a really strong lineup. And I was really excited by getting to see Reguilon for the first time. I think he's going to be an excellent player for Spurs now and in the future. Serge Aurier, I thought, had a great game. I'm hoping that he stays at the club actually for the season, and I think having competition is just fantastic for the squad. Bodhi, what about you? What did you think of the game?
It was pretty good. I was really good, delighted with the performance. I mean, I didn't really. At the end of the day, I don't really care about the cup much. I was just really happy to beat Chelsea. So, because I live around a lot of Chelsea fans, and I just like piss when I can. So
Yeah.
it was fun. I saw a lot of promise, especially Reguilon, and Ndombele. You know, the likes of them. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not
Reguilon,
really much I could really say except it was a really good team performance, and I'm quite delighted with the result.
yeah, Reguilon obviously got turned inside out for Chelsea's opening goal, but then he really went and created, and you could say that he turned Werner inside out to create our goal for Lamela to stab home past the Chelsea keeper Mendy. But which player would you say was your man of the match?
For me, I'd say Reguilon, I guess.
Reguilon. What about you,
Or
Charlie?
Ndombele. I go for Ndombele.
No one mentions this guy. Lamela, the one that scored the goal, was absolutely fantastic. He created pretty much all our chances. He kept the ball really well. Like when he dribbles, like this agile dribbling that he does, he hardly loses the ball when he's dribbling. He won a few free kicks as well. He scored, created a few other chances. I mean, why isn't anyone crediting this guy? It's crazy. He was great. I mean, obviously, Ndombele and Reguilon were also great, but I think he should be man of the match.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. I think if Dyer hadn't played the 2 games, in 3 days, I think Mourinho would have given the man of the match to Lamela instead, because the commentator at one point said if Spurs get a goal at this point, it'll be through Lamela. And about 10 minutes later, Lamela gets the ball in the box and scores. And I think he did have a great game, and it's important for him to be playing really well when he was kind of the third choice right winger. And now with Bale coming in, he needs to really step up his game, and I think he's doing that. As long as he doesn't get injured, it should be a good season for him. And I'd like to see him start against Man United tomorrow, but we'll talk about that later. So going into the penalty shootout, how confident were you all that we would be the winning side?
Wasn't confident.
Wasn't confident. What about you, Charlie?
I was watching it with my dad, and he straight away said, because he's been watching Tottenham his whole life, and he's like, "Oh, just forget it. We're already out." And I have already watched us lose a few penalty shootouts. Actually, one against Chelsea as well. And I was like, I actually had a feeling in my head that we might actually win a penalty shootout for once. But the fact that we scored all 5 penalties was unbelievable. I did not expect that. And I mean, the goalies were pretty poor. I'm not gonna lie. Like the first 4 penalties by both teams are all the same penalties pretty much, and the goalies just didn't. But yeah, very good penalty shootout from us, and nice to see it will motivate the players certainly. I mean, Kane jumping and all of them jumping after, and Reguilon actually looking like the most most motivated player after he was really happy, jumping around everywhere. And yeah, that's a good thing to see. A bit of winning spirit in the team. So yeah, hopefully that will help us against Manchester United.
Yeah. I had 2 points, but I'll just jump on the. So the first point I was going to say was this is only the third time in the 21st century that Spurs have won a penalty shootout, which would explain why a lot of us weren't confident going into it, given how we exited both cups last year through penalty shootouts. And
oh my, that's not what you want to see, but Chelsea just won 4-0. Jorginho with 2 goals. I don't know what happened, but yeah, they scored 4 in the second half to win. So yeah, not very good.
Well, we just need to go out and have a better result against Man United.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was also third time in the 21st century that we win a penalty shootout, and then Reguilon afterwards was sprinting down to Hugo, and he was the first one that actually started celebrating with Hugo after Kane, and then Reguilon was the first, and then Kane arrived after Reguilon. They were like the three celebrating together, and then everyone else arrived except for Dombele, who took his time getting down there. But back to Dombele, we all love him. He's playing fantastically right now, but he is not the most passionate player you'll find. I love him. I'm very happy he's at the club and he didn't leave this summer, but just not a passionate player. And then winning the penalty shootout, do you think that has anything to do with the mentality that Jose Mourinho is building? So Bodhi, do you think that is due to Jose Mourinho's winning mentality that he's trying to build at Spurs?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, every single player that he's signed has won something, so he's wanting to not only get quality, but he also wants because if you see in the Amazon Prime in the All or Nothing, he says when he first arrives, he says in quote marks, this team is full of nice boys, and
Mm-hmm.
I think what he meant by that is, they're not aggressive enough in the competition. They don't take it seriously enough, and I think Jose, to add his own touch into it, he wants to bring in a team full of winners. And look at every single one of the players he signed has won at least one trophy.
Well, you've got a good point there, but the thing, I think, I mean, he probably also meant that, but when he said that they're like too good, they're not aggressive enough. I think what he meant by that is like when you watch other teams in the Premier League, when they're like 2-0 up or even 1-0 up, they foul us, do everything to stop the other team from attacking. They take them down. It doesn't matter. It's just a yellow card. They do these fouls. That's why you got Højbjerg in. They foul players like tactical fouls is what I'd call it. Obviously, we're going to see more yellow cards this season. But the point is, under Poch, teams kept coming back from 1-0, 2-0 down to beat us because we just didn't. We just sat back and didn't really take it seriously, and then the other teams scored easy goals. And I think that Højbjerg is going to be very important with that this season. We've already seen that from Højbjerg this season against Southampton. He just when we were like 4-1 up, he kept fouling players, and yeah, that's a positive, I guess.
Interesting point off of that was in the 16-17 season, I believe, Spurs had the most yellow cards at the end of the season out of any team. So, and it's definitely something that we didn't do as much at the towards the end of Pochettino's reign, but just got to wonder like why it kind of stopped, like why we didn't play such a critical part of our game anymore. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was in the documentary, you could see Mourinho tell his players that, like what you were saying, Charlie, that you have to make those tactical fouls and you have to drag players down. They do it to us every game, every time. You have to do it to them. And I don't know if it's just because he said that, and like now I'm like looking at it more, but I swear we're doing that 2, 3, 4, 5 times more than we usually do. Like I'll see Maccabi Haifa countering, and Lo Celso drags down their player with the ball, and then we get back in the position and are solid, and then they have to try to break through 11 players rather than maybe 3 or 4. But I'm seeing it a lot more than I used to, and I think that's a good thing, good sign for the future.
Okay, I'm going to need to interrupt you one more time because this is great news and it will put a smile on every Spurs fan's face. I just saw it in the group. Breaking: Husam Alva and Memphis Depay are staying at Lyon. The club announces to RMC Sports all negotiations off. Arsenal are not getting our.
Oh,
That is
that's good. That's good.
Um,
See it. Yeah.
Okay,
That's pretty great.
Yeah, that will shut up Arsenal fans for a while. So we have I think we've talked enough about the Chelsea game.
All right,
Great
let's
win,
do
obviously, our B team as well. But yeah, let's move on to Maccabi now.
Maccabi Haifa. So obviously we won the game 7-2, exactly 1 year on from losing 7-2 at the Spurs Stadium, and we were playing lower quality opposition. But do you think that it's gonna boost us with confidence heading into games like Manchester United and for the rest of the season? I'll go to you first, Bodhi.
Yeah, I mean, United's a very important game. I think this game will definitely decide which both teams, like where they'll finish. I think
Mm-hmm.
whoever wins this game will finish higher than the other squad. So I think it's extremely important, and we really need to put our shift in and get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is a very important game for both team seasons because neither team has had a very convincing start. I mean, Spurs, I think, deserved the win against Newcastle on Sunday with Carl Darlow, like we talked about in the review, so I won't really go into it too much, but obviously he had an amazing game, and VAR on Eric Dyer's handball, if you want to call it that. But Man United are doing, they've only played 2 games, but they've won 1, they've lost 1. Getting very lucky against Brighton as well. It wasn't a clear win. It was Brighton hit the crossbar 5 times, and Man United had a penalty after the game had finished, which only they could do. So I think we have to do our best to keep them out of the box, because I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything here, but when Man United get in the box, I'd say 2 times out of 10 they end up getting a penalty. So we really need to be sure that we try our best to keep the ball out of our box so there isn't another bogus penalty call against us. And I'm not saying I want to see this, but I could definitely see Jose teaching our team to just try to get the ball into the box and then hit it into someone, and maybe we get the penalty. Definitely not the football we want to watch, but if it gets results, and that's ultimately what Jose Mourinho is here for. What do you think about the whole handball mess, Charlie?
Yeah, well, I was just about to say. So, yeah, Jose already pointed out, of course, in his legendary press conferences, that Ole is lucky because he has like a 22-yard box, not an 18-yard box. So yeah, that's how he responded to their win against Brighton. But yeah, against Maccabi, I was disgusted with that Doherty penalty. Come on. I mean, I will admit as well. The pen that they gave us, that was harsh as well. I mean,
The first one.
The hands were next to his body, and Davies just smashed it into them. Again, it's not. It should only be when it's clearly. It should only be given a penalty when it's clear that the player had the intention to stop it with his hand. That's my
Well, I
opinion.
mean, like the hand wasn't in the way. It was, it was down by its side, so it's pretty ludicrous.
He's been quite unlucky with this. I mean, it's already happened to him twice in the Spurs shirt. But also talking about it, nothing would have changed. Like the one that they gave for us when Kane scored it. So Davies crosses it into him, and it just hits his hands. But his hands were like
on his chest.
On his body, literally, it would have just hit his body anyway. Nothing would have happened. Just craziness, really. But there was no VAR in the game, so that actually has nothing to do with VAR. But Bit harsh for both pens, but
Yeah.
also what I wanted to point out, people will disagree with me, but I think the first 25 minutes or 20 minutes of the Maccabi game, it was a bad performance by Tottenham. Yes, we scored twice. I mean, not bad, but it was very average. It was sloppy. I mean, yes, the first goal was great build-up play, and the second goal was just a header from a corner, really. But um, after we scored the first goal, the next 15 minutes, with the Højbjerg, Sanchez, Davies, Lo Celso, we just kept giving them the ball, giving it away, being sloppy. Obviously, everything changed after Lo Celso's first goal.
Another day, a different team would have punished us for that.
Yeah, they really would have. I mean, just the big chance they had, like about 20 seconds after we scored the first goal. I mean, just weren't concentrating, and I can't blame Hart for that goal that they scored. I mean, that was just an absolute bang. But again, just too much space, too easy, and we got punished eventually. But yeah, then Lo Celso with a brace, and then it just went easier from there.
What is with European teams in qualifying and scoring absolute bangers against Tottenham? I want to know. Like,
I know.
every game. Rufus, but let's get into specific players' individual performances. Ben Davies is the first player I want to talk about. He provided 2 assists today after not providing a single assist in any competition last season. Do you think that just has to do with Reguilon being introduced to the team and now he has some competition, so he has to be playing better if he wants to get into that starting lineup? Bodhi, I'll go to you first.
Nah, he just got lucky. He really just got lucky. I don't think. I mean, like at the same, yeah, he may be pressured to work harder now that Reguilon's in. But think about it. I think Danny Rose was just as good as Ben Davies. But why didn't Davies have motivation? It would have been because he would have been guaranteed a spot either way, and he knew it. As you can see in the All or Nothing, you know how Danny Rose was fuming with how little game time he was getting, and I think that Davies knew instantly that he had nothing really to fight for. He was going to get a game either way. But now that Reguilon's in, and he has only played like 1 game, and he's already considered one of the best left backs in the Prem at the moment. I mean, there's so much more pressure on him.
Yeah.
So he might perform, but honestly, for that game, I think he was just lucky.
Well, you have to say, I think he was getting further forward than he normally does, and I think he was trying to become more of a creative outlet for Spurs. But what about you, Charlie? What do you think?
Well, the first assist was great. I mean, he created the goal pretty much, him and Bergwijn. But, I mean, the second assist was okay. But except for the 2 assists, I mean, actually did kind of create the penalty for us. But really, except for that, he gave the ball away a lot. I mean, he really needs to improve on his, just passing because, I mean, he was okay, but that's not going to challenge Reguilon at all. I mean, Reguilon's just far superior to. But yeah, you're right. I'm sure he'll fight a bit more. But yeah, I think the left back spot is definitely Reguilon's. And also talking about great performances, Bergwijn. Wow.
That's what I want to get into next.
Well,
what a performance!
So he pretty much created the first goal along with Davies. He got 2 assists, and the last assist for Kane is one of the most stunning runs I've seen in the world. Wow, I mean,
that was exceptional.
Just the skill to get past him.
That defender, I swear, I wanted him to score so badly. I was gutted that he didn't.
Oh yeah, that shit shot. That was so unlucky. He should have went around the keeper, though.
Yeah, he definitely could have gone around the keeper, but I think it was really obvious to me that when he got through, he was looking to chip it, and I think the keeper read it as well. And fair play to the keeper, but Bergwijn, I think that would have been a massive confidence boost for him to score, but I think it should be a confidence boost anyway. He had an exceptional game. I'm sure that Jose Mourinho was full of praise for him in the dressing room afterward. But yeah, he definitely had an exceptional game. I think that he will be more involved in Spurs games coming up. But then again, Son and Bale will be back soon, and I don't think Bergwijn will start against Man United on Sunday. I keep starting to talk about Man United on Sunday, but we'll get there eventually. Just a few more players I want to talk about before
Speaking of Son, there's rumors that he'll be ready for United.
Son? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm nervous. I want to put him in my fantasy team, but yeah, we'll get into that in a few minutes. But just a few more players I wanted to talk about was Lo Celso against Maccabi. Had 2 goals, which means he scored 4 total goals for Spurs now. Do you think that's a sign of more goals to come, or was it just 2 goals against the lower team, and we'll see less goals from him this season? Bodhi, you can start with this one.
Wait, could you say that again, please?
Of course. Lo Celso scored 2 goals yesterday, or 2 days ago, and do you think that means he's going to have more goals this season, or was it just he had 2 chances against a lower opposition with a worse keeper and worse defense?
Yeah, I think. See, I think Poch bought him in the sense of he wanted a new playmaker, but I think Jose's plans for him is to make him play more deep, let Ndombele get further up. So I think it was just he was at the right place at the right time twice, and just netted some goals in.
Yeah, I think the system that Mourinho's trying to implement right now is with Højbjerg as a deeper lying ball winning player, and then feeding it to Lo Celso or Ndombele, and then Ndombele or Lo Celso can either carry it or find a pass to Kane or Son or Bale, and then they can play it into one of the other players, and then that's how we'll score most of our goals. But we'll see. Dele Alli came on at the 46th minute for the second half, and created a penalty at the end of the game and scored subsequently. Charlie, what did you think of Dele Alli's performance?
Well, he kind of created the 6th goal too. I mean, yeah, because he passed it to Bergwijn, who then found Kane. But that skill, wow! I mean, I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says about Ali. He really is the king of nutmegs. He's done it so many times, so many people. But this one might actually be his best yet. I mean, that was absolutely phenomenal. And then he just tucks the pen away easily. I think we might actually, shockingly, see him start against Man U. Depends on how he trains ahead of the game. But actually, probably not because of that excellent Gio performance. Plus, Gio was rested at half-time. So, no, I think Lo Celso will probably play. But what a performance by Gio. I was so happy because I'm constantly annoyed. Like, last season, the season before last, he scored 16 goals for Betis. And then he came in, only scored like two goals, was it, last season?
2 goals.
And he just wasn't shooting enough. I've already said this in this podcast. And finally, I mean, he actually missed 1 or 2 chances before he scored the first goal. But then the finish for the first goal, great. And then the excellent chip. I mean, I was just so happy for him. And hopefully this is the start of a good goal-scoring run for Lo Celso this season.
Yeah, I agree. But Dele Alli, I mean, just to get back to him, I haven't seen him pull off a nutmeg. Maybe it's just I'm not remembering, but I feel like it's been quite a while since we've seen him pull off a nutmeg, and maybe that's just
City game, like 1.5 or 2 years ago. He hasn't pulled off a brilliant nutmeg.
Yeah, so maybe that's just I'm saying a lot of things are signs for other things, but maybe it's a sign that Dele Alli is getting back to his former self, and he's going to be getting back into his.
He said it when he scored twice against Bournemouth and when Jose came in. I mean, yes, it's hopeful, but every time we say this, it doesn't happen. So maybe we should just not say it.
Okay.
I hate it when people say that because, we've been waiting for so long for it to happen, and I'm sorry if I'm upsetting any Spurs fans by saying this, but he's never, ever, ever going to be the same he was back then.
Ooh. I think that's a bit harsh. I think he will hit the heights, whether or not it's with Spurs.
No, it's the honest truth. As long as he stays at Spurs, he's going to be the same.
Wow, you're not confident.
I don't know. I think I could see Dele getting close to that magical season or two he had with us. I think it might be a couple seasons, maybe not a couple, but not this year. But I think he'll finish this season extremely strong, and then going into next year, it'll be a real fight between Lo Celso, Dele, and Ndombele for who gets to start in those two attacking positions. But those are really all of the players I wanted to cover against Maccabi. So let's get into our latest signing, Carlos Vinicius. 18 months on from letting Llorente leave, we have finally have another striker. Bodhi, I'll go to you first. What did you think about that?
I am delighted, especially with who we got. When I was, like, I've been saying this for a while. I wanted Vinicius over Milik, right? And when I originally didn't realize the price tag he had on him, I just saw those stats, the goals, the assists, and the appearances. I thought, wow, we really need to get this player. And when it said it was a 3 million loan with a 45 million option to buy, and I found out like loads and loads of Benfica fans were furious over this deal. He had 100 million release clause, and a couple months ago, Benfica wanted no less than 60 mil from him. Levy has managed to get him on a 1-year loan, and with 15 million less than the asking price in an option to buy. Now that's the best deal he's ever done.
Yeah, it was definitely a fantastic deal. Charlie, what'd you think about it?
I have a lot to say about this. I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing. I didn't know how good this guy was. I thought it was a bit big when I first saw him about a year ago. I thought it was a bit sloppy on the ball because he was like, how tall? He's really tall. He seems really tall. And then I saw some of his goals, and I didn't know until a few days ago that he was top scorer in the Portuguese league last season, because no one was really talking about him. Like I've never heard anyone talk about him before the last few days, and some of his goals are great. He can definitely flick the ball up, and he can head it. He can volley it. He's actually quick for such a tall guy. He's got some skills too.
Like the Benfica fans, like I said before about how they're furious that
they are fuming.
we're getting him for potentially so little when he valued so much more highly. He's a great player. I think. What was I gonna say? Charlie, you talk again. Let me think. I forgot what I was gonna say there.
Okay. So I have a lot more to say. So, the fact is that this Lewis guy or whatever, the chairman of Benfica or whatever, everyone's saying that this is the worst deal he has ever accepted.
Yep.
And I think that's true. I mean, this guy is like, Benfica have one of the best youth academies on the planet, and he's a bit like Luis Campos from Lille. He's a genius when it comes to transfers and stuff. But how has he let this happen? I mean, it's disgraceful. 3 million for 1-year loan, and it's not a 45 million buy option. It's a non-obligatory 45 million buy option. And I didn't know this, but that means that we can, if we pay 45 million, buy him, and Benfica have no say in it if we just pay straight up 45 million. But we can also pay less than that. We can pay 25. We can pay 20. And if Benfica accept it, he's gone. So
fantastic work from Daniel Levy.
Under pretty much, which is just a great deal, unbelievable. I don't know how we've pulled that off.
Like I said, sorry, I just remembered what I was going to say. Obviously, like I said before, how the Benfica fans are furious. Why would you, right? Let's say you're you're the board. Why would you let your best player? Now, this is from Benfica fans. Why would you let your best player in the team leave on a loan 3 million with a 45 million obligation to buy or option to buy, whatever it is, when the original asking price is 60 million and he has a 100 million release clause? From what I've seen, this guy's got more potential than what João Felix had, and
Mm-hmm.
and Atletico paid like 120 million for him.
Mm-hmm. Interesting thing I saw was that Spurs actually went in for Carlos Vinicius at the beginning of the window because he was Jose Mourinho's primary target for that striker position. And then Benfica said that their asking price was 60 million and they wouldn't do anything less. And then Daniel Levy waited. He bided his time. He inquired about a few other strikers. He set it up so that if it didn't happen, he could go for other strikers. And then Benfica got knocked out of the Champions League qualifications, so they weren't going to be playing in the Champions League next season. And then just like that, he moved in and secured a brilliant deal. I mean, I feel silly for saying Levy out at the beginning of the transfer window. I mean, he's done exceptional this year, probably the best window we've ever had as a club. And it's brilliant. I don't know what else to say other than that. He's done an amazing job. Just simply brilliant. Great work from Daniel Levy this window. And now we just have to hope that all of our signings end up suiting to the Premier League. And Højbjerg and Doherty obviously already have. Reguilon played against one of the toughest teams in England, and yes, he made a mistake, but I mean, he was fantastic other than that. Gareth Bale has already played in the Premier League, and just great work. Yeah, go for it.
Based off all the players, right? So this is Doherty, Højbjerg, Reguilon. The players that have already played, the signings we've made, who do you think's been the best that we've signed?
Højbjerg.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, interesting choices.
What do you think? Who do you think's been the best so far?
The best overall player for the club is obviously for me Reguilon, because he's going to be long term. But the thing is, Real Madrid do have this buyback thing, but yeah. I mean, I don't think they'll use it. It only lasts 2 years, and they have Ferland Mendy, who's probably better than Reguilon, and he's also young, so they don't even need Reguilon, and Reguilon needs to say yes to it, and he won't be a second choice, Mendy. So I'm not worried about that. But when it comes, the best player that we've signed is Reguilon. I mean, Bale's good, but we haven't seen him in a while. And
the players we were talking about the players that have played so far. Who do you think's about the best consistent performances?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Højbjerg. I mean, Højbjerg and Doherty have pretty much been the only ones that have played. Yeah. And Doherty's been meh. I don't know. He's been okay.
He's been all right. I think he'll be better. And I think, like I mentioned a few podcasts ago, if he scored that goal against Everton and that assist against Southampton didn't get ruled out, I think he'd be a lot more full of confidence and be providing more opportunities and more assists and goals. But didn't happen. So he just has to pick himself up and get back into it. But I think, like you were saying, Charlie, I think the most important signing overall and for the long term is going to be Reguilon. Højbjerg is a great deal. Doherty is 29 or 30, so he's not going to be here for long. Same thing with Bale. I mean, obviously we all love Bale, and he's fantastic. But I mean, his injuries and his inconsistency, really. But I mean, fantastic to have him back. And then Carlos Vinicius is going to be important, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to be a backup striker. I know some people hate the term backup, and we want to be signing a second striker that can provide competition. And I think Vinicius will, but I mean, he's not going to start over Kane in any important matches.
He's hardly a backup striker. Come on, with our schedule, he's going to be playing at least half of the games.
That's a fair point. And last season, we did see us line up in a 4-4-2 on a couple of occasions. So I mean, no reason we couldn't do that again. With Kane and Vinicius forming a strike partnership up top.
If we want to beat United, we have to play 4-4-2. It's our strongest formation. And people that say
you think it's our strongest formation?
Whoa!
By a mile.
Really?
Son and Kane, right? Have you seen? The game against Southampton. People think it's because the high line Southampton played, it was, as soon as we switched to a 4-4-2, that's when we scored all the goals. 4-4-2 is the best formation to help with to help Son and Kane get the best out of Son and Kane. Their link-up play when they do you play the 4-4-2 is amazing. They're basically the only two players up top you need. Then the rest of the players are super defensive, and it's just really solid for hanging on to a lead or increasing it from a counter-attack, which is exactly Jose's style. So for what Jose needs, 4-4-2 has been his best formation, and in my opinion, it's Spurs' best formation at this time.
That's interesting. I would have to say that I think our best formation is the 4-3-3, but that's definitely interesting.
I'm just going to stick with the 4-2-3-1 like we always have because, I mean, think about it. All our players are fit right now. And we played 4-2-3-1 against Newcastle, I'm pretty sure. And that was a great performance.
That didn't have all of our players, though. I mean, Sonny was injured. No, was Sonny injured against Newcastle?
No,
yeah,
he
yeah.
played. He didn't play squad.
Okay. Yeah,
but what I want to say about Sonny, they've been the Evening Standard and the Guardian or something, which are pretty decent sources. It isn't the Sun, so it's they've said that Son is expected to start tomorrow, which is crazy. I don't want to start him, to be honest, because he's not going to be, even if he does start, he's not going to be in the form that Bergwijn deserves to start after the performance against Bergwijn and Lucas, or Bergwijn and Lamela deserve to start, if I'm being honest. But obviously Son off the bench would be good, but I just don't know if I'd start him. But talking about Son, here are I just have this ready here. So here are some of the stats. His stats before he got injured. So here they are. So his 2021 statistics so far. Appearances, 4 goals, 4 shots per game, 2.7, which is pretty good. Dribbles per game, 0.7. Key passes per game, 2.7. Pass accuracy, 80.3%. So he's been okay, but except for that Southampton game, he hasn't been way too involved. Obviously, Emma scored against Newcastle, but
twice.
I think when he comes back, he will definitely start scoring a lot again. But also what I wanted to mention, I didn't mention before. Some really funny stuff in the last few days when it comes to Tottenham. First, Eric Dyer thing and the toilet seat on Instagram, and then also the Spurs admin. He's just so good on Instagram. Before we signed Vinicius, I mean, that's absolute shithousery. I mean, it's hilarious.
That was great. I loved that.
Just wanted to say that. So Vinicius is a great signing, certainly. But let's get on to our predicted starting 11s ahead of the Man U game.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go first on this one. I posted it on my Instagram a couple days ago, and I don't think anything's gonna change. Lloris in goal, obviously. I think Doherty will start at right back. I think Sanchez and Eric Dyer in the middle, and I'm gonna go with Reguilon at left back, and then I think Højbjerg, for the first time, I think we're going to see Højbjerg, Lo Celso, and Ndombele all start together, and then Lamela, Kane, and Lucas. And before everyone says Bergwijn should start for that amazing performance on Thursday, I agree. He had a great performance, but I don't want him to start on Sunday after playing 90 minutes and having his first really great performance of the season against an Israeli team who hasn't won a trophy in a while either. So I think it was a great confidence booster and it was a great performance from him. But I think that Mourinho was resting Lamela for that game on purpose because he knew he was going to be playing him on Sunday for that, because he earned it for that performance against Chelsea. And Lucas Moura also has been rested recently. Ndombele was rested. Lo Celso came off at halftime. Højbjerg was subbed early. Reguilon didn't play on Thursday. Dyer didn't play on Thursday. Sanchez played on Thursday, but he didn't play on Tuesday. Doherty didn't play Thursday, and neither did Lloris. So I think these are all players that have been rested, so they should be fresh. And then we'll have options off the bench like Bergwijn Um, and I think like Dele Alli too as well. So I think it'll be a confident game. I don't think Son's going to start. I think maybe he'll get a substitute appearance. But Bodhi, we'll move on to you. Or if you want to comment on my starting lineup. But who do you think's going to start?
I mean, I have really no clue at all. Would it be okay if we said what lineup I would like to see instead?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, well, I'd like to this now. Just hear me out when I say this. So, I'd like to see the 4-4-2. I'm expecting to see. Well, I'd like to see Regulon, sorry, um, Alderweireld and Tanganga, and Doherty, and in the midfield, I'd like to see Ndombele and Højbjerg.
Mhm.
On the left and right, I'd like to see I'd like to see Lamela and Jack Clark.
Whoa.
Jack Clark.
Yeah, and up top, I'd like to see Bergwijn and Kane.
That was unexpected. I'll say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had a great game in preseason. He done a lot, and I think he's worthy of the chance. Because if you take a look at Tanganga, he really performed on his debut against Liverpool, and of all teams, Liverpool, and he done fantastic. And I think
There's no podcast without Bodhi having a controversial opinion.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, interesting. Jack Clark is quick, but nah, I'd never start him. And also with this 4-4-2, you're saying it's the strongest formation, but then what happens with Lo Celso and Allen? I mean, they can't just be dropped out of the picture like that.
No, I understand that. It's just, I mean, Jose will want to rest some players, and think
He's rested players. Why would you rest players ahead, against Manchester United? I mean, this is a huge game, even for Jose, just to get some revenge over United.
Yeah, but sure, he'd still want rotation for further games, because you don't want to go out and play your full out squad and then have to play like your third team against in a Europa League game or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We haven't used our best team in the last two games, really. I mean, you can say against Maccabi we kind of did, but not really. We still rested Ndombele, and Lo Celso was taken off at half time. So
Regulon didn't start.
He's resting players ahead of Manchester United because he sees it as a very important game. I mean, if you think about it, if we lose, that's 4 points out of 4 games. That's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely interesting. It's going to be interesting. We are in the hold on. Yeah, we are in the same position that we were at the very beginning of last season. We had 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Beating Aston Villa, drawing Man City, and losing against Newcastle. And then this season, we lost to Everton, beat Southampton, and then drew Newcastle. So I think that it'll be important for Mourinho to show that he is just better than the team last year, and with the amount of money we've invested. I mean, I know a lot of the players aren't available still, but I think that's interesting with Jack Clark. I think if he doesn't go out on loan, I think he'll get a few appearances in the Premier League this season, and I think he could actually turn out to be really good. But I don't think Jose Mourinho is going to want to risk it.
Did you see the recent Fabrizio Romano tweet?
I did not.
Let me show you it real quick. It is Tottenham will complete Juan Foyth to Villarreal and Ryan Sessegnon to Hoffenheim. Deals on the next hours. Talks ongoing to complete both loans. Foyth also a 15 million buy option.
Ryan Sessegnon to Hoffenheim.
I'm disappointed with that. I really wanted Sessegnon to go to a Premier League team and get Premier League experience because he's playing for a Premier League club in the Premier League. So I'm disappointed with that. I was really hoping we'd send him to somewhere like Brighton or Southampton. But oh well.
This is funny because this reminds me a lot of Reece Nelson, Arsenal's guy, going to was it Hoffenheim as well? Yeah. to Hoffenheim, a young English winger going to Hoffenheim, and he kind of shines there. But then since he's been back at Arsenal, he's scored a few goals, but he hasn't really shined as much. So I also agree. I think he should go to the Premier League club. Actually, I don't want him loaned out at all. He's good for depth. I think we shouldn't sell anyone, not even Juan Foyth. I think we should only sell Rose and potentially loan Foyth. But except for that, no one else. Because this is the best depth we have ever had, and we can't let go of it. Because it's important to have these players. Because think about it, Alderweireld's injured, or Sanchez injured, or Dyer has a red and Sanchez is injured. We only have Alderweireld, and Tanganga, and after them only Juan Foyth. I think we should actually keep Foyth just for depth. I mean, depends on him to be honest, but I think we shouldn't sell anyone except for Rose.
I think in a perfect world, that would be great. But Daniel Levy, he needs to make some money. He spent a great amount this window, and he needs to bring some money in through player sales. And Jose Mourinho was complaining the other day about how he had too many players to manage. And Mourinho really excels at man management, but he can't do that if he has 30 players in a squad. So I think that it's probably good that Foyth is out. And like you're saying, if a player is suspended and a center back is injured, we'll only have two, but I think Davis, he can play at center back. He's done it before. So we'll agree there. And then with Sessegnon, we have plenty of winger options right now, so I'm not concerned about that. And then at left back, we have Reguilon, Ben Davis, and Dennis Kirkin. I think he'll get a couple opportunities this season. Mourinho seems to really like him. The signing of Reguilon obviously dented his chances at playing this season, but I think he will still get some opportunities. So I think our squad depth is still pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if a few other players went out too. I mean, Cameron Carter-Vickers, I think he'll probably leave permanently before the window's over. I think he'll leave after the European transfer deadline day, and he'll go to another English club within the week following that. Just looking at our squad right now, I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see Paulo Gazzaniga go. I know a lot of the Spurs fans out there really like him and seem to hate Joe Hart for no particular reason other than he's not Paulo Gazzaniga, and I think that's really unfair. Joe Hart had a good game against Maccabi Haifa. He had a couple good saves. Danny Rose, like we said, I think will leave. Carter Vickers will leave. Foyth will be gone. Just looking at our squad, I don't think anyone else will be leaving. And the funny thing is if I was, if Jedson Fernandez was our player, which obviously he's not, he's Benfica, he's on a loan here, I would be saying we need to loan him out or sell him because, I mean, he hasn't had an impact on the squad. He played against Chelsea on Tuesday, but I don't know. I'm not convinced by him yet. Maybe he'll prove he's worth the, 40, 50 million that is the option to buy upon the expiry of his loan deal with us. But I don't know, Charlie, what do you think about players leaving? Oh, sorry, you just talked about that. Bodhi, what do you think about players leaving?
I mean, I really don't know. I'd like to see Foyth leave. I'd like to see Ryan Sessegnon leave as well, but only on loan, because I think he's got huge potential, and he can really. I think he could do really well as a replacement for Son when Son's time is up, which won't be for a while yet. But with
it's always good to plan for the future.
Yeah, he'll be a really good successor, and yeah, those are the only two I really like to see properly leave. I mean, Carter Vickers as well. He hasn't been great, but at the same time, it's good to have him for depth. Yeah, those are the only two really that I can think of at the moment that I'm happy to see leave.
Yeah.
It's like you said before, I'm disappointed with Sessegnon leaving to Hoffenheim. As a chance anyways, because it's not confirmed. Yeah, I would have liked to see him go to a lower tier Premier League team for experience in the top division. But I guess it is what it is. Playtime's playtime. So.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a critical year for Ryan Sessegnon's development as well. I think this year is really going to decide whether or not he's a left winger or a left back. I think wherever Hoffenheim play him for the majority of this coming season is where he's going to end up playing for the rest of his career. I would be surprised if it changed. But I don't know. That was really odd. Getting back to what we were saying though, getting ready for Manchester United. I think you were saying Alderweireld would be in your starting lineup. I would be absolutely shocked if Alderweireld started following him playing all 90 minutes on Tuesday and on Thursday. I think he'll be given a chance to rest to prevent any injury. And the international break, I believe, is not this weekend, but next weekend. Let's double check on that. Yeah, the international break is next weekend. So hopefully the international managers don't run our players ragged. And obviously Gareth Southgate and Jose Mourinho have had a little bit of a spat over press conferences. But what do you think about whether or not we should be resting, I'm saying in quotes, players this Sunday, Charlie?
Well, tomorrow we should it's at Old Trafford, right?
Yep.
So last time at Old Trafford we lost, yeah, I think we will win today because they were pretty bad. I mean, yes, they just beat Brighton, but I think we're definitely in a better form when we're playing better than them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll win, but I don't think we should rest anyone. We should just play our best possible team, which would be Kane, Son, Bergwijn. Actually, I said I wouldn't play Son. So Kane, I'm gonna go Kane, Lucas Bergwijn, Lo Celso and Ndombele, Højbjerg, and Reguilon, Doherty, Alderweireld and Dyer. I actually don't want to see Sanchez. I don't know. I just think Dyer and Tobey will do well, and then Lloris in goal. So, I think we'll win.
Interesting stat here. We haven't beaten Manchester United in any competition since August 27th, 2018, when we had that amazing 3-0 victory against them with Kane and Lucas Moura scoring 2.
What about last season? We lost 2.
We lost 2-1, and then we drew 1-1 in the first game of that of the restart, which I think was unfair. I mean, I don't know.
3 games against Man U since then, though, or 2, 3 or 2.
Well, since the win against them in 2018, we've played 4 games against them.
Wow, that's bad. Well, I'm confident, to be honest. I just don't think much of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm fairly confident. I think they've had a very poor start to the season, and you could argue that Spurs have, but I think realistically we've actually had a pretty good start. We were just very unlucky against Newcastle when we played very poorly against Everton. But every game since then, I mean, I think we've probably played the most games out of anyone in England at the moment. I mean, we've played 3 Premier League games, 3 Europa League qualifiers, and 1 Carabao Cup game. So, I mean, 7 games in the space of, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And then we're playing our 8th game tomorrow of the season. So it's been busy, but I think we'll get the win. I'm gonna go. Let's start getting into score predictions. I'm going with. I say these like kind of wild claims sometimes, and they're completely off, and they're totally spot on. I'm gonna go with a 4-1 Spurs win. No. I'm gonna go with a 4-0 Spurs win. 4-0. We're gonna have our first clean sheet of the season away at Old Trafford. Harry Kane's gonna get on the score sheet once. Lamella's gonna be on there once. Reguilon is gonna have a Premier League debut goal, and then to wrap it all up, Tanguy Ndombele is gonna get a goal in the last 20 minutes.
That's ambitious. I think we're gonna get 2. I'd say 2-1 win. I think we'll get. I think Kane will score. I think Bergwijn will score if he plays, and I think Bruno will score a free kick.
What about you, Charlie? To wrap it up.
My score prediction is 3-0. Kane scores. Bergwijn scores. And Doherty scores an absolute banger. That's what I'm going for.
Ooh, interesting.
See it. You love to see it. It's gonna be good. I'm excited to watch. Really wish we could be visiting the stadium
I hope
right
we
now,
don't
but
start badly. If we start well, I can see us winning easily. But,
you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we scored a goal in the first 5 minutes. I think we will. I think we'll score a goal in the first 5 minutes, and then whether or not it's ruled out by VAR is going to be the deciding factor of how well we do in the game. But any final things you guys want to talk about before we end?
No, just hope to get the win.
What about you, Charlie?
no, I have nothing really to add. It's been a good podcast. I really don't have. I've said everything I had to say. So yeah.
Alrighty. As we always say at the end of all our Spurs podcasts, it's a good time to be a Spurs fan. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hotspur House. Come on, you Spurs.